What's going on, guys? Bama'S Outdoors back here with you today. Today I wanted to do a quick video on answering a couple questions that I get asked all the time, especially when it has to do with trout fishing. Now, most of the time when I go trout fishing, I always have someone come up to me and ask me, what's the best bait to use for stock trout? And I try to tell them that it's actually a two-part question. It really depends on when you show up at the creek or the stream to catch the stock trout. Now, if you know anything about stock trout, they're raised at these trout hatcheries. They're raised in these concrete pools, and the only thing they ever see their entire life until they're released into the creeks is these little fish pellets. And when they first take them from the trout hatchery and put them in the creeks, normally, from what I understand, and I have talked to a couple of DNR guys about this, they say that they normally let them go for about anywhere from 12 to 24 hours with not feeding them. So they're starving when they hit the water. But the big thing is they go through a transition when you put them in the water. Sometimes that can take 3, 4, 5 hours, maybe even 6 hours. It doesn't mean you can't catch them as soon as they've been put in there, but as far as like catching them consistently after you put them in the creeks, in the streams, my go-to bait is always the PowerBait niblets, because a lot of times these fish will just bite out of instinct. You have to remember that they've been fed these power pellets, these power fish pellets, fish food for their entire life. So you have these little pellets that look like this. Now this is really about the actual size of the food that you put in the tanks. If you go and visit one, when you go and visit one, they will allow you to feed the fish. So I always tell everyone to go to the niblets first, and after about, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 hours of transitioning from being in those tanks, they get acclimated to the creeks and streams, then they'll start biting more things. Usually if I get there right after they stop the trout, I always go to these niblets, and I seem to be able to catch them consistently. I've tried on different occasions using different baits. When they're put in the water, you may catch one from time to time, but consistently for the first few hours they put in there, you can catch them on these niblets just about every other cast, if not every cast. So that's the answer to the question I've been asked several times when I go to the creeks and streams. I've had a couple of my subscribers ask me what I use most of the time. And as far as getting there on the creeks and streams right after they stock, I always go to the niblets. Now later on, what I do, and this is really my second go-to bait, is I go to these Berkeley worms. And these Berkeley worms come in different colors. I mean, you can probably get them in 20 different colors. My two favorite colors are the pink and the natural brown color. The only downside of using the natural brown color is when you're casting it out in the streams and the creeks, wherever, sometimes it's a little more difficult to see. But in certain occasions, the brown always seems to work better than any of the other colors. I don't know why. Maybe it looks more natural to them. But that always seems to be the bait that really catches them really well after they've been in the creek for a while, after they've gotten used to being in their new surroundings. They've settled down, they're not running around, they've kind of found their spots where they want to hang out, and then, it's game on. So that's the second part of the question. So I would always bring these PowerBait niblets to the stream just in case. Bring you some of these Berkeley worms, and bring you several different colors of the Berkeley worms, as well as this bait, this PowerBait niblets. This is the neon green. I have my most success on the orange. So if you've seen any of my previous videos where I've went trout fishing, I always recommend to bring a wide variety of different types of lures with you when you're trout fishing. When you hit the water, I usually go and I will make, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 casts with a certain bait. If I don't get any response, I change. And it's amazing. You can go from this green, you can, you throw them with this green, and the niblets not get a bite at all. But you might change over to the orange, and all of a sudden it seems like every cast you'll catch them. So you need a wide variety of different baits to catch trout. But again, PowerBait niblets is my go-to bait when I first get there, and I know that they've just been released in an hour or 2, 3, and I'll go to that, and that works consistently. After they've got situated in the creek, the Berkeley worms is what I go to. And how I rig mine up, I have actually had a few people ask me this, and it doesn't get more simple when you're trout fishing. I mean, this is like the type of fishing you did back when you was a kid, catching sunfish, bluegill, or anything like that. But normally I use a number 10 hook, 1 split shot, depending on how strong the current is, and I usually will, put it up anywhere from 7, 8 inches on up to a foot. Now, if I find myself in some areas where the water's a little deeper, the current might be a little stronger, and I want to get down to the bottom, I'll add an additional split shot, because what happens a lot of times when you go to these creeks, these trout like to get right on the bottom of that, specifically in the deep pools. Now, when you're fishing the shallows, you can just about always get by with it with the split shot. So I hope that answered your questions. If you have any other additional baits that you'd like to recommend to me, I'll be happy to take that in consideration and try those myself. I've tried the corns and the mealworms and the red wigglers and things like that. A lot of people like to fish with those, and that's awesome. You can catch a lot of fish with them. But the one reason why I kind of shy away from those baits is, I don't know about where you live, but where I live, our creeks and streams are filled with those little chub fish. Some people call them chub fish, some people call them horny heads. They're just like little baby carp. And whenever you put a worm, a mealworm, a red wiggler, corn, those suckers are on it like, just like white on rice. So you're constantly battling with those guys. But when I use the artificial, like the niblets, the Berkeley worms, spinners, and things of that nature, it really is not a big deal when it comes to dealing with those little guys. And I just do not deal with them because they are big-time bait stealers. So I hope I answered the questions for you today, guys. I really appreciate you taking a minute to watch this video. And please like this video, and also consider subscribing to our channel. We're still small. We're about to make 300. We're really looking forward to hitting that 300. And what we're going to be doing throughout the winter is we're going to be doing more how-to videos, tips, and things of that nature, because we're not going to be able to get out and fish as often as we have been. So I hope y'all will enjoy those. And if you have any questions about anything, about certain baits, or how I fish certain things, please feel free to leave it in the comment section, and I'll be happy to get back with you. So thanks again, guys, and as always, God bless and happy fishing.